Okay, so we will go ahead and call tonight's meeting to order. It is 6:01. Welcome everyone. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I do need a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. We've been asked to go out of sequence, so I would like to move to an action item, the parking lot sealing and striping contract.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Tim Hague, Facilities Director. So we had in a budget item that was from the Plant Facilities Fund that was approved by the board last year for $150,000 to do some asphalt repairs, seal coating, striping, things of that nature, parking lot maintenance. On that original budget, it was just budget numbers that were put to 5 different schools. I've had seal coat, stripers, and some asphalt guys go out and bid projects to see if we can hit every single parking lot in the district. I can get every parking lot seal coated, striped, and some of the major asphalt repairs done for $125 or less.
Okay.
So what we're asking for, one is we already had the budget that was approved. 2 would be that we have to get approval for these contracts that were in the handout they were given. And 3 is that change of scope from the 4 to 5 schools to all of them.
Okay.
With the exception of Lakeland Middle School front area, which will be addressed next summer.
Okay. With respect to the schools, I know Spirit Lake parking lot is atrocious.
Very much so.
How much money are we putting into Band-Aid it?
So right now it'll be crack sealing repairs where it's extremely alligatored,
Okay.
where you've got that degrading of the asphalt itself.
Right.
Part of the concrete contract is repairing and saw cutting the lines into the concrete.
Okay.
So when we crack seal and seal coat, we're going to prolong the life of that asphalt for another couple of years. It is not a fix, you're right, it is absolutely a Band-Aid, but this will give me time to prioritize a parking lot
Okay.
at a time.
Okay. Thank you. Does the board have any discussion they'd like to have on this?
I'm good.
Right, so we would need a motion on the contracts that have been provided along with changing the scope of sequence for this project.
Move to approve it.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you.
very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
Good luck. Whew. All right, moving on to discussion items. All right, so the reason this meeting was called was because it was brought to my attention that the LEA has stated the board is out of line from the June 11th meeting where we approved the certified salary schedule that was provided to us. However, we did not approve the negotiated agreement. It's my understanding that Rusty and Jessica and Brooke have had conversations with legal counsel. I myself have also had discussions with legal counsel. And I'm very, very, very disappointed that our LEA has chosen to move forward in this capacity. As I mentioned to Rusty, the LEA president should have come back to the board and did not, instead went to the superintendent. I would like to stand behind or beside the board in the fact that the way things had been handled, I do believe were absolutely in good faith. It was very disappointing that when I asked about the things that this board specifically asked about to be addressed in the IBB, I was told by the LEA president that, you know, we'll get to it next year. We couldn't do that this year. When the board gave directive. And for the record, I would like to point out that the board had the expectation of the superintendent being its representative at the IBB meetings. However, the superintendent was not at the meetings. She was at one, according to the agenda, but she was not at the one that lasted roughly 2 hours, to which everything was allegedly resolved. So given the fact that this board gave specific directives that were not followed, they were not negotiated on, I don't know how the LEA could assert that this board is acting in bad faith. But that's what I'm understanding to be a crux. The legal counsel that I received.
I'm sorry, can I
Yeah,
interrupt for a minute? Because I
please.
don't even know how we got here. I am completely lost. Like, what is not in good faith? Like, I don't understand any of this. I was scrambling today trying to I went back and watched the IBB meetings, which actually the second one isn't even a full meeting. It cut off and there's nothing else uploaded and no notes. I couldn't find any of the IBB stuff. I went back and watched the June 11th meeting all the way through again. I took notes on that, so I don't understand I don't understand what the good faith is. I don't understand how we got here. What's the problem from June 11th till now? I thought at the June 11th we were all fine. We okayed the money and all that, and then we were gonna, fix the language, which everybody agreed to.
Well, everybody agreed that, well, I shouldn't say everybody agreed. The board directed the language to be fixed in the negotiated agreement for several years. And for several years, it has been overlooked, ignored, excluded, not anybody's priority. We held a workshop. We tried to have discussion. The LEA was present at our workshop. And I remember came heavily into discussion with you over various things. I don't feel that our workshop was allowed to be as productive as it could have been, but it was what it was. So that being said,
But if we don't, I still don't understand what is the problem.
well,
That didn't come to the board.
Yeah,
It may have come to you, it may have gone to the
no, it
superintendent.
didn't come to me. I never saw the
I
negotiated
don't know why
agreement
we're
before
here.
it went to
That's
the
my whole
teachers
thing,
union.
like with Randy
Yeah.
saying the board is completely,
Exactly.
I don't know. All I know is I got an agenda, no documentation,
Chairman Thompson, may I?
no.
Yes.
I'll do
Go
the
ahead.
best I can with this, because remember, I was on the outside end of it. So how did we get here? First of all, I need to tell you, Mr. Bradbury, he did not reach out to me. I reached out to him. I asked to meet with him and speak to him after our meeting where we reworked the information. Mr. Bradbury contacted his representative, as he should. The representative made very clear through their legal counsel that it was a violation of contract law that we were doing with the board, because we were piecemealing the negotiated agreement, meaning that.
No, that's
Well,
not-
I'm telling
Okay,
you,
go
I'm not
ahead.
here, I'm
Yeah,
not
go
arguing,
ahead.
I'm just trying to tell you that you said, how
Well,
did we get
that's
here?
the problem is that here's the thing is what happened is somebody spoke for the board.
Yep.
on board business and the board was left clueless. In all the years I've been here, the salary schedule has always been one piece and the negotiated agreement has been another piece. We approved all the money, there's no change in the money.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
It was my understanding we were just taking out whatever changing some of the language, cleaning it up, making it look more, in line with what's out there in the industry.
Yep.
And, I think taking out making the, like all the stipends and all of that, because the bottom line is the law doesn't apply. We can't pay that with tax dollars unless it's through the levy money, right? So, and it's my understanding too, don't the coaches get their own, isn't that a supplemental, contract to their actual teaching? So,
It is.
so it's, okay, even if we did that, nothing has changed. The money hasn't changed,
Right.
nothing's been renegotiated. In listening to the meeting, there was, even the LEA president said over and over and over, yeah, we need to change it. Yeah, everybody knows it. Yeah. But, so we agreed to change it. And the board never
Well-
approved the agreement because we didn't change the lane,
So-
move that piece out.
If you could just give me a little bit more. So we did, obviously, they went to their legal counsel, we went to our legal counsel. I have sent you their information. Basically in that, his wording was that if, basically, the IBB is the negotiating team for the board, and it's for also the LEA. And the idea behind that is so we can meet, work out the details, and because we have board members on that team, that they would present the negotiated agreement to the board, understanding that the board had input on that
No,
particular
they
document.
can't.
I'm just trying to tell you,
Yeah.
There's
if
no
you
input.
include your board members, that's how it's seen. You, the board, I'm speaking the board, that's your negotiating team in the sense of that. Now, the
Well,
superintendent not being
I need
there-
to interrupt you for a
Yeah,
moment,
go right ahead.
because according to legal counsel, the board is supposed to decide, determine, pick, choose, whatever word you wanna use, who is going to sit at that table.
Yes, ma'am.
To
That's
my
correct.
knowledge, 3 people were, 2 board members were supposed to be there.
Yes, ma'am.
Unfortunately, it was only 1 at the alleged meeting that had everything accomplished in less than 2 hours.
Okay.
And the superintendent, who didn't even bother to attend the second meeting, did not even inform the board that she would not be there.
Right.
So I just get very frustrated with this ongoing attack against the board, that the board is doing all of this wrong when the board is doing what it is doing based on guidance from the superintendent, who dropped the ball and didn't follow through. And it is unfortunate, but we never saw, this board never saw the negotiated agreement that was going to go to the teachers until it was ratified. This board has asked for that procedure to change,
Yes, ma'am.
but it has never been changed. Because while the district office may sit in IBB, that's not been a directive from this board that that's what it's going to be. The board has been told that will be how it will be, but that's not been the board's directive, okay? We've asked to see it, we never get it until it's been ratified with the expectation to say yes. And my frustration when it was brought to us is specific things that this board said, hey, this needs to be addressed, were not addressed. And it was agreed, yeah, we didn't get to it, you will get to it next year. And I stated to you, this is an ongoing response every year.
Chairman Thompson, I cannot take back the things that have happened in the past. All I can tell the board is you've made very clear the expectations. Moving forward, if you choose to, as the board, to accept the negotiated agreement, my recommendation through council too is that we would create the procedures in regards to what our negotiating team would look like. The board would set those expectations. Once my theory, and again, this is not theory but plan, is that we would have some meet and confer meetings over the course of the year with with the LEA and your representative, which is me, and whoever else we decide to be a part of
But
that.
it's not you, that's not in the law.
Well, hang on a second.
No,
Let me-
and the thing is, whatever
Can I
we got
please-
back from,
I'm
no.
sorry, I'm not gonna interrupt you, so please.
No,
I-
because here's the thing, the premise on what you're making all of your decisions on is wrong information. This board never approved, and I'm sorry to put you in the middle of this board never approved the negotiated agreement.
And-
So is the LEA, maybe the LEA president needs to come up and talk, because what are they wanting us to do, to just throw it all away and start from scratch?
As I was almost there, so the idea is that through the meet and confer, then we would be more prepared for IBB. The other change in the procedure would, the board, instead of going to the teachers first, it would come to you first, and that would be the major change. So, and you're absolutely right, it should, in legal counsel, I sent you that, they said that was wrong. It should have went to the board first and let you guys see it first, you're absolutely right.
But the
100%.
council was also led to believe that this board approved that negotiated agreement, and we did
Well, again,
not.
I can't
It
speak on
failed.
that, I can only talk about the future.
Right, I understand, but what I'm saying is the premise that council gave this type of instruction is based on not fact. The board never approved the agreement. So I still don't understand what went wrong. When you guys had the meeting note, were money numbers changed, what is the?
I
what is
didn't go to the meeting. I wasn't part of the
wasn't there.
IBB. It wasn't me.
No, I mean.
I went to
the-
one meeting and then I missed the next one, which was my fault.
Well, it's-
One board member there, and then the superintendent wasn't there.
But what
And-
about the meeting after? This all came about, we had our meeting June
June fir-
11th,
yeah,
and I
June
thought
11th.
everything was
So did I.
alright. I don't understand where.
Part
it
of the
went
problem,
wrong.
part of what went wrong is when we took the salary schedule out, apparently, of the negotiated agreement, which it was its own item on the agenda. I would like to point that out.
It always has
wasn't.
been.
I know.
That's fine.
So when we voted on the salary schedule and did not vote to approve the negotiated agreement, I should have clarified, I'll own it, not a worry there, clarified that by approving the certified salary schedule and accepting the benefits package that is contemplated in the negotiated agreement, we are now counter-offering to the LEA. Those words were not used, so nobody knew that that was a counteroffer. By all intents and purposes, it should have been, that should have been a given, but it wasn't. Which is fine, because we need to be crystal clear here. We approved the certified salary schedule to allow our HR director to do her portion and meet deadlines, because she had to have everything out and returned by July 1.
Yep.
However, in the future, we don't have to beat to that drum. If we would have just said, nope, we're not going to approve this schedule until we have a negotiated agreement, we could have done that, but we didn't. We were trying to help our district to maintain its functionality without being too disruptive to the teachers that are wanting to come back. So we moved forward that way. It was apparently out of line with the law, because the certified salary schedule should never come outside of the negotiated agreement.
But it always has.
I know it always has, but we are now to the point
So
where
we're
we
back to
are.
square one, so we don't approve nothing, we get back and we're back to square one, and I guess we just redo everybody's contract, because that's obviously what the LEA would. Can you come up here and tell us you brought us here? You brought
I
us here.
suggest that since you guys got legal counsel, we're gonna get our legal counsel. And they're gonna sit in on meetings.
I
And if you-
still don't
That's not how
understand.
any of that came about.
I mean,
That's
because
not how it
there's been
came.
unethical behavior through union members, very unethical, poor leadership, and all
You're
kinds of
gonna
stuff.
have to be specific.
I'm not gonna be specific.
Then I would appreciate you
Because,
not throwing out accusations.
no, I'm not saying anything. I'm not
Jason,
saying
can you
anybody's name.
come-
There's been unethical stuff in
Alright,
this school
hold on.
district that's been going on, and I think the public needs to know about it.
I just thought that I don't understand what changed from the June 11th meeting till now. I'm clearly we didn't change any money, nobody's not getting less money, more money, I mean, we're not, I don't understand what the problem
The
is.
problem was you cannot separate the two.
No, I
That's
wanna
what-
hear-
I'm just trying to tell you, legal counsel has informed us, and I sent you the legal counsel, I'm just trying to tell you, that's what got us to this meeting, and I shared it with Chairman Thompson.
There was no problem at the June 11th meeting.
I'm just trying to tell
Somebody
you.
had a problem with it in the meantime.
And I've been accused of already accusing the board of violation. I accused ourselves of the same violation with our superintendent because I didn't know that either. After our meeting on Thursday with the superintendent and the district office team, I notified my IEA director, which I'm supposed to do because it's negotiations. I have a chain of command as well, so I had a couple of questions for her and told her that obviously I was under the inclination after June 11th everything was great, just like you predicted or you suggested. I thought there was going to be clerical stuff done to the negotiated agreement, verbiage, stuff like that. When I showed up on Thursday, content and meat of the negotiated agreement had been changed.
Okay, I haven't seen
Okay.
any of that,
So
so I
once,
don't
yes,
have,
you haven't seen any of that?
no.
She wasn't
that's
here
not-
for that meeting.
And I asked for it because I've been sick, I'm sick as a dog today, but I just took more medicine. Because I truly am lost, I had no
So
idea how we
I-
got here.
Yes,
Hang on, I presented him what, from our work session.
I know, but I haven't
Recommendation.
seen that,
That's
so
the
I
scope.
don't have the
Okay.
same information everybody
Right.
else
That's fair.
does to make
Yeah.
a decision.
so that's what happened. So your board got together apparently in executive session, came out with a brand new proposal and how they wanted the negotiated agreement to look like. Which
Okay.
in a sense is what we came up with on June 11th, but it was not just verbiage and context. They had taken out things of our negotiated agreement, they added things to our negotiated agreement, which all included money. When it becomes
Oh.
money, I didn't know the next step, because I left the meeting, Rusty and I were like, what's the next step? And I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to get a hold of my team, cause I honestly don't know, I've never been in this situation before.
So
I
what
was
was
fine
the
with
money
you guys
change?
I was fine with you guys wanting to change context. I love the beginning where you have your definitions and all of that. I love it.
Yep.
I wanted to make sure that because we were doing content, that threw me for a loop because nowhere in that June 11 meeting did we say that we were gonna change.
So what
Needed.
dollar thing changed? Can you tell me that? What,
In IBB, we were presented an extracurricular, new extracurricular salary proposal.
mhm.
The whole IBB team voted that down. We gave reference to that in the June 11th meeting as to why we voted that down.
Mhm.
Wait a minute, hold on, you said the whole IBB team?
The
So
IBB team, yes,
every single person, even the person that presented it,
that was there.
voted it down?
That was there, yes.
Okay, good to know.
Yes. We did it because of financial reasons. We did it because at that time, I believe CFO Grantham, if I'm remembering correctly, said that it was gonna cost the district over $35,000.
There was gonna be some additional
There was an
percentages.
additional sorry.
Yeah, go, I'm sorry. I-
Additional percentages added to the top tier coaches. It's gonna go from 15.5 to 16.5%.
Okay,
Other coaches were gonna be the same, and some coaches were gonna take cuts in pay.
okay.
We all agreed as an IBB team that it wasn't the right time. We didn't say that it was a horrible proposal. We said we just didn't have any facts. We had a bunch of questions in that IBB meeting that were unanswered. Nobody could answer those questions, and we just didn't feel comfortable moving forward with that. So the whole team voted to not take that through.
Yeah, it was an extremely quick,
Yes.
I mean, it was basically one meeting, cause the first
Right.
meeting, basically after watching it, and the second meeting's cut off, so really, that meeting is,
Yeah. Do we know
Null
why that
and
was cut
void.
off, by the way? 'Cause
I
I
have
was
no
looking
idea. It
for
just
something
stopped.
specific
Yeah.
there.
it literally just stopped.
Yeah. It
And
cuts
I,
off at about 45 minutes, and I believe our session was an hour and a half.
yeah, so really, that meeting, if we're gonna get technical on this, needs to be redone, because it didn't happen, right?
So anyway,
Does it-
so,
So
I'm
in the
sorry.
meeting then, so you guys all agreed, no more of the coach thing, so how, from what you guys agreed on the agreement to what was done with the negotiated agreement afterwards, you know, what happened?
so nothing changed to the negotiated agreement. Not, the agreement was the same. That's
Okay.
why when we went to our members, I didn't give them a physical copy of the negotiated agreement. All I did is told them in our general meeting that the negotiated agreement, everything's the same. I let them know that the board is gonna work on verbiage and
Yeah.
contextual stuff, clerical
Right.
issues. And we would come back and get that, and I told them then that I agreed.
Okay,
The only thing we had to vote on was the salary schedule and the
Right.
benefits. So that was it. But when I showed up on last Thursday, lots of things in the negotiated agreement
Well,
other than
and in all
clerical had
fairness,
changed.
I would like to point out that the board did not review that. That
Did not
we-
review what?
what
We
you
didn't see
have.
that.
We didn't see
We
it.
didn't see it.
See what?
The
What
negotiated agreement.
what was presented to you, we didn't see it.
We haven't seen it.
I still haven't seen it.
We had
haven't
an
seen it.
executive session meeting where we talked about things, and then it was compiled by staff and
You're
brought
talking-
to you.
You're talking the one I saw on Thursday?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it.
We haven't seen it.
So let me, hang on, I wanna speak.
Okay.
Well, let me speak. So remember that we did sit there and type all that up. And so you didn't see the final product, and I apologize to you guys, and I wrote you guys. I thought the directive was, and I checked with our administration staff, was to move forward because we knew that we were under time constraints. So I just presented exactly what we wrote up, guys. That's it. Nothing changed. So everything that we changed.
Well, that's
in there-
not true, Rusty, because in that meeting, we were told that at IBB, there were apparently 2 or 3 because one of the big cruxes for this board was to fix the coach's salary matrix, because we are so out of line. I mean,
That's
we are
debatable.
out of line. Okay, you can say it's debatable, but when we feel that we are completely out of line and that's validated by other districts, then we can only operate off of that. So we were told that 3 formulas, because you want to know what my idea was? Which I'm sure nobody's going to like this. We asked the voters for $2 million. My idea was give it to the ADs and let them do their thing so that coaches are paid what they should be paid, so that the programs can run effectively with the money that we asked the voters for. Okay, I was shot down on that. Okay, whatever. But supposedly 3 schedules were created. I had asked to see the 3 schedules,
That was supposed to be brought to us at our next meeting.
and we've never seen that.
I have not seen 3 proposals for a new salary, or the coach's salary schedule. I believe I talked with previous administration. I was shown 2. I was shown 5 other schools that have the same. We have 117 public schools in this district, public school districts. So
Right.
5 out of 117, I'm sure I could find 5 when we go get.
That's great. You saw it. We didn't.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So therein lies the problem. I know. I just don't like being attacked saying this is a union, because this was not a union. I want to make sure our district, like I always do, this is my goal for the district since I've been here 29 years, is to make sure our district is the best it can be. And I try to do that. I do that personally myself as a teacher. I do that here working with everybody. That is my goal. And the minute when I talked to my IEA director and I told her what had happened based on the meeting and then how things had changed, she was the one that says, you guys did it wrong. She included me in that as well. I never accused
Yeah,
you.
well, I think
Well, that
part of
wasn't-
it-
wasn't how it was brought to me.
We collectively did it incorrectly.
You were not part of that. That was not how it was brought to me. And that, I believe, is why the district office jumped on board and called attorneys. And then when I got emails with attorney comments, I called legal counsel, because in my opinion, this board did not and has not ever acted in bad faith.
Nobody is accusing you of that.
That's not according to the emails. So because of that, I'm gonna protect my board members.
100%, but you're
because-
attacking me and
Because what came to me was, this is from the LEA president. So
it is.
based
We-
on
we
that
have- we
and
have-
the
we have
accusations
acted
that we
inappropriate-
are acting in bad faith, I'm sorry, Jason, to think that we're gonna be sued over this
Who said anything about a lawsuit?
according to the emails. So,
I don't know what emails you're getting.
well, I'm just
I
letting
would
you
like
know.
to see those emails. Otherwise, they shouldn't be talked about or discussed, because if I don't.
It's
have
advice
proof
of
that-
Well,
legal counsel.
The whole thing should have never went anywhere but to this board. When you had a
Right.
problem, you should have came directly to
That's,
the board,
I can't
Jason.
know, I have a chain of command. I
No,
talk
the
with-
law is very clear. The negotiation is between the board and the LEA
Or
representation.
represent, there's a key phrase in there
Yeah,
that says
well,
or
it's the board.
representative, and you had two on there.
It doesn't
Yeah.
say that in the law, it says the board of trustees, that
Or
doesn't mean one or two.
representative.
That means the
Okay,
whole
either
board,
way, the
that's how I
problem-
read it.
The problem is that constantly people are having all of these back conversations, and then the board, as everybody's seen in this instance, is completely, we had no idea. Nobody, it wasn't our discussion, it wasn't our thing, it wasn't anything. You know, but yeah, we also, like you're feeling attacked, the whole problem is we have to quit this. When it's the board's business, it's the board's business. It's not admins, it's not the superintendents, it belongs to the board. And I think that's part of the problem. Had the board been aware initially, we could have probably circumvented a lot of this, because I don't believe there was any ill intent with anything. Like, that's why I went back and listened to the meeting, because I'm like, what the heck happened? I'm so shocked that we're getting sued and all these attorneys are involved and there's all these emails. I was just like, what the world is going on?
And
And I couldn't figure it out. So I guess, you know, whatever happened, we're here. We approved the salary schedule. Nobody has a problem with the salary schedule. Nobody had a problem with any of the money thing at all. So
and none of the
what
benefits
do
were
we
changed.
do
But
to
you
go
did have,
forward?
you
though?
did have a problem with the money issue. because
We
you
had an
changed
issue
stuff
with
in
the
negotiated
coaching.
Okay,
agreement
well,
to
I
get with money.
didn't see it, you know, maybe that's what you got, I don't know what happened. I mean, that's why I asked earlier, did we change any money thing?
The only thing that we discussed when we met was there were clerical changes. We did not change anything with respect to benefits that I recall.
No, you're
And
correct.
then we pulled the sick bank language out of the negotiated agreement and made it policy so that it would be reviewed annually and it would fall in line with the expectations of the sick bank. And
Look.
then, oh, go ahead.
No, let them finish. I like,
Yeah,
yeah, finish what you do.
And then, because for 3+ years at least, this board has asked to address the coaching salaries or it's extracurricular and co-curricular activity schedules, because it covers not just certified staff, it covers
Street coaches.
street coaches, classified staff, etc.
Agreed.
So
And it covers more than sports, we didn't have
It does.
a sports
It's
yeah,
focus, but
it's
it's everybody.
co-curricular, right. And so we asked for that in that meeting to come out of the negotiated agreement, become its own agreement that would need approval, so that you've got two separate juggling contracts, so to speak, or agreements, not contracts, but agreements, where the negotiated agreement is specific to certified staff only. And then you've got the co-curricular, extracurricular agreement that deals with anybody that's doing something outside of their regular duties.
Which is in line with the way we issue contracts.
It
Sort of
is.
cleans it up.
But not knowing how it was presented to you, because we didn't see the final product after our conversations together, don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly how it was presented to us. But again, that's a content change of the negotiated agreement, which puts us in violation, because now that you're taking something out of the negotiated agreement that has previously been in there as content, as rule, so to speak, then that changes content and that puts us in violation. We can't do that.
But we didn't
Because we
approve
didn't-
it.
we
So
We
didn't-
haven't
didn't
approved
put-
it as a board.
But
Yeah.
the
In a
salary-
public hearing?
I know that, but the salary schedule is in the negotiated agreement, and when you go to approve, what I have been told is that when you go to approve, you approve everything.
Well,
It's all or nothing, just
That's
like.
fine with their explanation, but never has this board approved the salary schedule as a piece of the negotiated agreement. It's always come as two separate agenda items
True.
every
Well, it's
time.
because they are, because I think it's been presented that way because they're two huge animals. One is what, you negotiate raises, things like that, it's a whole conundrum.
Well, if
in
it's part of the
itself.
negotiated agreement, then it should not be separated.
Then
It should be
That's the
together.
point.
Yeah,
That's
that's
exactly right.
Yeah, you're
But it
exact-
never, so
100%.
here's the thing, the board, so that's what I'm saying, the only way to fix it then is to undo, rescind everything we did and stick, if you're saying salary schedules are part of the negotiated agreement and we did not approve the negotiated agreement, that means we don't have a salary schedule either. If they honestly go together and we voted down, we said no. We're gonna have executive session, we're gonna fix all this, and then we're gonna bring it back. We were trying to, you know, like you said, keep everything rolling, just fix the language, but it sounds like we can't do
And
that,
I was
so.
100% on board with that.
Yeah,
Ramona.
I
was.
know.
I agree.
That's why I was
yeah.
confused as to what happened because
Yeah.
I thought, I totally missed something, so that's where we're stuck.
What put us at, Ramona, what really put us in violation was the taking out of.
Right, so we
adding-
don't have an
adding
agreement,
extras.
last year's agreement is actually in effect. Right, that's how.
Actually, it is not.
It expires.
It
It
expired.
expired
June.
at the end of the year, and so we do not have an agreement. What we do have is signed
Well,
contracts.
okay, I'll say this, like everything else in education in this state, customary, every other district that can't come to an agreement issues and is working on the premise that the prior year is what they're under. That's how the contracts are issued.
Agreed.
So, I mean, I'm trying to make it easier, but it seems like there's this push and pull that you're gonna do. The bottom line is the board said, no, we don't agree. So that's where we're at. We don't have a negotiated agreement, which means we don't have a salary schedule.
Right, and according to, legal counsel, we now have the opportunity, if we should take it, to ratify what was presented and accept it and just go on about our business. We can go back to the drawing board if we would like to reopen negotiated, IBB and go back to the drawing board. We could also present a counter offer and see if they'll accept it, which
Well, we haven't, we have nothing to go, we can't make a decision, we have nothing. Okay, our agenda looks just like that. So we have no information to make a decision on anything. You can see the only attachment we had were those contracts. So I don't know what we would be voting on.
Were you presented with the negotiated agreement?
No.
There- it wasn't attached to the
Wait,
agenda.
Wait, hang on a second. I'm just asking and I'm just clarifying. So you were presented with the agreement, obviously, because you voted against it, is that correct?
At the June 11th meeting, yes.
I would tell you that's the agreement that you guys
It's not
are-
on the agenda. There's nothing on the agenda. We cannot do anything outside of here. There's nothing there. It's a discussion item. That's it.
It's a
And then we-
discussion item and an action
Action
item.
item.
Right,
I
but
think,
there's,
yeah, Ramona, I think the reason it's not there is because nothing has changed in that negotiated
Right.
agreement except the salary
That's
schedule.
right.
So all you have to do is look on the district website, it's 24, 25.
well, the
school year.
board already voted
It's-
against that, so we're in the
that's-
same spot.
Yeah, but based on clerical, so it was my understanding in the June 11th, and please tell me if I'm wrong, but it was my understanding that you guys were gonna make just clerical changes. You weren't gonna change.
Well, there was gonna be a
Content
separate,
in
no,
there.
not change content, but there was gonna be a separation to
Yeah.
more align with what we're actually doing, you know?
Right, and we agreed with
Yeah.
that wholeheartedly, and that's
Right.
why we moved forward, we didn't have a problem.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you couldn't do it that way. What I would suggest, I believe I stated this on June 11th, I would suggest that you vote in the negotiated
We already did
agreement.
that. We voted against it. We said no. So as it stands now, we have no agreement.
Right,
That's where we're at.
yeah.
And we have nothing tonight to see
So,
whatever these
yeah.
changes were, whatever I would like to
Yeah.
see what you saw, to tell you the truth. So I know what, I mean,
So that would have been my recommendation is, because then we can get these systems, we have a perfect opportunity here. We have this issue that we're dealing with that both of us were wrong in how we did it. We didn't know, now we know. We have a new superintendent, assistant superintendent. We can put things in place and get it all nailed in the way you got. We have the whole year to do that. I would suggest, because of we've already signed contracts, I don't know what that looks like. how do you go back on a contract that's not, that's a legal thing that I have no clue how to even answer. I don't even come close to being a lawyer, but I know that could be it seems to me it would be a problem. I would suggest voting to approve.
Well, the contracts are no good, Jason, that's the thing, they're no good now. Right?
They are-
They're no good because there is no
Well,
agreement, they would have been,
yeah.
they should have been issued in last year's.
Again, I don't know the legal terms, and I don't wanna speak, I don't wanna
Right.
misspeak, so I don't feel I should even answer, cause I don't
Right,
know,
well,
I
I
know what I
don't-
feel, but.
I mean, it's not a matter of feelings, I have no information, other than what we had June 11th, and my vote still stands the same, so, I don't know how we go forward. Does anybody else have any suggestion?
Well, again, what I was informed of from legal counsel was we have two options. We can well, 2.5, 3. We can ratify what was presented to us back at June 11th and just accept it and move on. Or we can say we're not going to accept it and we can go back and open IBB and go back to the drawing board. So that we can get what we want. Now, respectfully, I know the only content change that occurred was just clerical. However, we did agree that we should probably pull the sick bank out, make it policy, not part of the negotiated agreement, because it does affect, there's 2 sick
Everybody,
banks,
yeah.
there's a lot involved. And then we saw an opportunity to address the coaching salaries or the extracurricular and co-curricular stipend salaries. Again, we didn't pick anything, we weren't shown anything, so I have no idea what was presented, but we can do that. If we choose to go back to the drawing board, we would then need to reissue contracts under last year's rate of pay until the negotiated agreement is accepted and ratified. So that is advice of counsel.
Well, we're gonna be back at the same spot, cause it sounds like there's an issue with the, stipend pay being removed, living in its own document, is that correct? But how can that, can you stand back up there for a second, sorry Jason, just so it's hard to,
No, that's fine.
we can't really see people anyways, when you watch, we only see part of you, but, here, so that the LEA, not you, but the LEA wants all stipend money also part of the negotiated agreement. Even though the state provides none of those funds, and unless we have a levy, none of those funds exist to pay that.
Yeah, especially for our certified, anything that deals with dollar amount to certified, we would like it in the negotiated agreement.
Yeah, even though that's just not
Yeah,
fair.
it is, it's an animal, but, I mean, you can include the other, but there were other
Yeah.
things that were dealt with in the new proposal was, there was something on the dual credit. They had taken out numbers of the percentage, and I get why they did that, but.
Oh, that is right, we did do that.
But again, there
We
was
did talk about
again, that should be an IBB thing, that we talk about that, or negotiation process. that you
And I do
talk about.
recall that that was one of the items that was a crux for this board, and we said that needs to be addressed.
Yeah,
Nothing was addressed,
Yeah.
except we got a new salary schedule
yeah.
that,
Yeah, and I agree, and that's why I say right now we're in a perfect spot, because with the new superintendent, we can make sure that we we get those systems in place that if you want something addressed, you just tell him and he makes sure it's addressed.
Well, no, the board needs to address its own business.
Well,
And
is
that's
it-
how we got here. That's how we got
But-
here,
but
was
for-
the superintendent and everybody else circumventing and then bringing to the board what they thought it should be. No, that's the problem, Jason, that's how we got here.
So
So
it's-
basically, we're in the middle of negotiation then, and you guys are saying what we proposed, you won't ratify, basically is where we're at.
I can't speak for the team. I don't.
Well, then
know.
what's the problem? How do you know they won't accept what we,
It's-
whatever the board gave
Be-
you?
Because it's just like you guys, I can't go out and lobby. We need to get together as a team. It needs
No, I
to be
understand that.
presented to the team. We need to discuss it as a team. We have a whole process that we go through. Stan,
I
what you
understand
guys-
that, but so how did we get here? If you haven't even presented what you were given to the team, how do you know it's not
Because
okay?
the reason we're here right now is because that content was removed of the previous
And that's the
negotiated
team
agreement.
your team meeting decided that, so their team
No.
has seen the contract.
No.
Well, then who made
Our-
the decision, if the team hasn't
Made what
seen
deci-
it,
Made what decision?
to not accept it?
The whole team in IBB, in our last IBB session, when Jessica presented it, I believe.
No,
somebody-
no, this change here, you said, hasn't been
No.
presented to the team.
No, it has not.
Okay, and the team
has
has to make the decision, and I
Yeah.
said, well, how did we get here if the team, you said, because the content was pulled out? Well, who
Yeah.
made the decision that that content change warranted this, if it wasn't the team? So you're telling me
Because
that there is certain information that you can approve, and there's certain information you cannot. Well, then, how did it get approved to bring us here if the team hasn't
Because
seen
when
it?
I shared with my IEA director, the process in which things were happening of content now being removed and everything, she didn't know the answer.
But you don't even know
wanted
if
to-
your team would have been fine to say, okay, cause like if it was
No,
the
and
same,
I told
same
Rusty
thing that
so.
went from 1 to 2, and then we could have had a full negotiated agreement, realizing, uh-oh, we screwed up, don't do this in the future.
I think where the confusion lies, Ramona, is the new coaching proposal, not this new one on Thursday, but one very similar to it. It had raises, it had the top tier coaches, Dave, tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe it had top tier coaches making 16.5%.
And everybody else making what
And then
they
everybody
make.
else making 15.5 and 14 or something, if I remember it right.
Well, unfortunately, again, the board has not seen
It,
this.
well, this is, I'm talking the old proposal. The old proposal in IBB was voted down.
Mhm.
Right, so we had already discussed that and for the reasons why.
Right,
The new proposal, nobody has seen the new proposal because it just happened this last Thursday.
right.
And we can't
Okay.
present it because as council said, it's the negotiated agreement that was originally presented to the board is either you to accept it all or you accept none.
And we said
That's
no.
where we got here.
Right.
It's simply when we pulled it out, which I commend the board for trying to help out our contracts and get those out to our teachers and so much. We really appreciate it, but that's how we got here. The moment that we separated the two is, and I get it if that's what's done in the past, but that was a violation in the past. So, and that's the past. So moving forward, I'm trying to tell you that we will work together, we'll have a work session, we will set our procedures, and if you guys wanna be the negotiating entity, that's fine, but I really feel like IBB works as long as we set up the criteria the way you want, and we select the members that you want, at least for representing the district, and we move forward from there, and we negotiate, and I guarantee you, I will follow through with what you
Yeah,
guys
we're in the
want me to
middle of
do.
negotiation, that's what everybody doesn't seem to, and that's the thing.
Technically, we're not. I mean, I'm gonna be very honest with you. We are not. The negotiation was done
Yeah,
through
we
IBB
voted
because that's
down.
what the board decided to do before I got here, before we said
No, no,
again.
you're
The board decided to do.
mistaken. You're mistaken, the board voted, no, we don't like your agreement, we're gonna ratify it.
When you enter
Everybody
into-
said, okay, well, that's fine, so take the salary schedule too, that's what I'm saying, we're still in negotiation. Whatever Jason got back, which I haven't seen, doesn't sound like Randy's seen or anybody's seen, that was the other thing given to say, okay, here's the change, and now they're saying, nope, we don't like that change, so we're still stuck in the same premise.
Council said that they couldn't even discuss it because again, it's a violation. You have a negotiating entity that the board has delegated that power to. They negotiate.
That is true. We approved and agreed to negotiate
Right.
with the LEA. We
No, I
made
know
that
that. I'm
agreement.
not-
That's-
I'm not-
I think that's what Rusty's referring to.
I'm not
Right.
questioning that whatsoever. I understand how that
But
works.
that's the
My-
negotiation part, that's it, you know, and that's why we can't go, we're not negotiating right now, it was negotiated, and moving forward, I'm just trying to tell you that I think the issue and the problem is, number one is the procedures, and then
Okay,
making sure
well, what
that
does the
is-
board wanna do?
Well, I mean, we already said no to the agreement.
Yeah,
So,
sounds like everything needs to go back to where it was until we figure it out.
I would tell you that, and again, council has advised against that. They, you know, the recommendation from me and from council is that we go ahead and approve and then make changes to the procedures.
But you told council we had approved the agreement and we did not approve
I
the
did not tell them that
agreement.
we approved
All of
the
those
schedule.
emails.
We approved the schedule, which is what you
All of
did
those
do.
emails were on the premise that the board, the attorney said, how can the board approve their IBB or approve their negotiated agreement and then go back on it?
No,
That is what he
that's-
said, yeah, it's in the
No,
email.
I have the email too. It was about the split of the schedule and the negotiated agreement. The two are married
which it wasn't a
together.
split, the
Right.
salary schedule was its own item on the agenda.
Right, but
So,
he
that-
says you have to do both.
I understand that.
And if I remember right, the reason why it was its own item on the agenda was because we needed to make sure, Brooke, tell me if I'm wrong, but Brooke was concerned about getting contracts out.
Correct.
And so there needed to be special discussion about it. That's why it was a separate item where it.
Well,
Brooke
we-
Cunningham, Director of HR, it's always been a separate item
Correct.
on the agenda.
Correct.
Outside of the
Yeah,
negotiation.
and I'm not
I know
questioning
that.
that at all. I'm not.
Well, you should be questioning it because it should not be occurring that way.
And agreed,
So
and
that is
moving
not
forward.
something this board has ever been counseled on, because it has been something that I know for the last 6 years it's always been that way.
But again, moving forward, I think the idea is that it will go to the board before the LEA is ever seen, and that will take care of 95% of this, period. Because you guys get to see it first and not last. And that was recommendation from council. So that's
Well,
the
irony, that has been the recommendation of this board for years.
Great.
So
correction. And I'm
I'm
sorry.
glad a lawyer
I
has
thought-
finally decided that yes, the board should
I
probably see it
apologize
before the
that
teachers
that-
ratify it.
That administration did not follow, but I will follow the board's direction.
So if we should choose to go back to the drawing board, there is one piece of the negotiated agreement that I would encourage this board not to consider due to the fact that we have already approved it, and that is the salary schedule. If we were to go back into negotiations and then reopen the salary schedule and revamp it again, that could has significant potential to land us into a lot of legal battles.
I don't think anybody here wants to do that. I don't think
I don't
anybody
either,
here wants
but-
to delay teachers' pay, delay
Nope.
anything. The bottom line is,
Nope.
had it not had anything to do with sports, we wouldn't be here. And that's all it is. Nobody gives a darn about the teachers and them getting paid, or we would have done what we agreed to on June 11th. But because whatever that was that got pulled out and changed, supposedly, that's what got us here. So I don't think anybody wants to change the teacher stuff, you know?
Right.
Thank you for that comment. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, that's never, ever been
Right.
anything. We approved it because that's what we do. The thing is that, you know, we got pushed into something. It's like we've been asking over and over for this thing to happen, and every year it's next year, next year, next year. And I understand we're not gonna do that going forward.
Nope.
But here's the thing, next year when they circumvent and go to you and don't come to the board and don't tell the board, then what? Because that's the same thing that's happened too, I can already see it, all these conversations happened and nobody came to the board.
The board gets to see the agreement. That'll be part of the procedure before the LA ever votes on it. You can make the changes that you want. But we hope there's no changes because the representatives that are part of the IBB will make it very clear of the board's expectations, understanding that there still has to be concessions, both sides.
I think we should go back to the drawing board and do it the right way.
I move to ratify it the way it is, as it was on June 11th.
Okay, so now we have two motions on the floor.
I made a motion, Dave just said, I say we do this.
Oh, got you, thank you. So we have a motion.
Well, I don't wanna see the teachers be in a frenzy because extracurriculars who have no money from the state don't want their non-state funds to live outside of state fund agreement. There's nothing in the law that says that that should be there. And the law is very specific on what the funds are for and what we are to do with that. And it has nothing to do with these extra contracts. They're not even the pay for all the teacher stuff, everything that we get from the state, or that's in the law, I'll put it that way. And I don't want the teachers, you know, to be in the midst of this big fiasco. You know, but I don't know what if we move forward, you know,
I just want to point out too, there's no additional financial obligation of the district if you approve the original negotiated agreement. So there was no raises approved for coaches, so that's what.
yeah, I'm not, yeah.
So financially, that's a good thing.
No, I understand that. The thing is that, you know, this was just a little bit heavier of a hand than we've had in prior years.
Yes, ma'am.
And the board constantly tries to work honestly and equitably and all of that, but
We truly appreciate that.
you know, well, you may, but I think you're probably the only one in the district. You know, but yeah, when we try and do something, you know, there's always some loophole. You know,
I got a problem
Other
with
people-
it because
other
there's no
people
raises
live
for
in-
anybody else in this district. There's no step increases for anybody else in this district. It all goes to teachers.
That's not in the negotiated agreement. Admin stuff isn't in the negotiated
I know,
agreement.
Classified
but
amount.
I'm saying classified, people that wipe kids' butts are not getting even a
Those aren't in
raise.
the negotiated agreement either.
Well, they're supposed to, I think they're supposed to negotiate for everybody.
well, unfortunately, the majority of people do live underneath the agreement, even if they're not part of the LEA, but the district has, year after year, been fair with
Yeah.
making sure everybody gets.
There's people that aren't even gonna get step increases. They won't get a step increase. For doing a year of work, they won't get a step increase. That is not fair. That's not right.
Trustee Quimby, I do want to point out too that the state did mandate.
I understand that.
Otherwise, and the LA and I spoke, and please, you can speak for yourself too. It was never the intent of the LEA to accept a raise, but the state kind of hand tied us and said we had to give these minimums. So that's where.
But
the
that's
raise-
another problem, Rusty, is we've had people in this district office go around the district
Yes, sir.
and tell everybody that we're gonna be broke if we go down this road. And
Wow.
nobody's doing anything about it. It's just-
I guarantee you, I'm doing something about it, and I guarantee you too, with my finance background, as you hired me
Yep.
to do, I've checked, and fund balance is important to us, and as long as we're not getting the fund balance, we're okay. It's tight, I'm not gonna, you know that part, but it's tough, but we can afford it, we can only afford one group at this point, and knowing that we know, you make a wonderful point, and I just wanna commend you for that. And we're gonna try to work really hard to work towards those people's raises too. Right now, the pie's not that deep.
I just don't understand the step increase thing. Can somebody explain
Well,
that
that's
to me?
through the state, and I'm going to Boise, so maybe I can ask them about it, but the bottom
I'm just,
line.
you're doing a year of work and you don't get credit for that. work.
But I have to
That
sort
is
of.
wrong.
It is, but you know what, that's actually in the law too. Actually, for year 1 through 6, there was no, the pay scale actually, base pay was actually the same.
Brooke Cunningham, Director of HR. So Dave, back in 2009, when I started here, that was when the economy crashed and everything went downhill. I can tell you, me personally, I was frozen for 3 years. Plus then I was asked to take furlough days. We also had our certified staff were frozen. They were able to negotiate back some steps, but our classified staff didn't. There's nothing in state statute that says we're mandated to give steps. It's with what's in the constraints of the budget. And so unfortunately, I don't like where we are either. It's hard. We have some really great classified staff that they're the lowest paid in our district, and we have health insurance. Yes, it's going up, and so it's, you know, that's gonna hurt them, but again, we have to live within the constraints of our budget, and this board is very good about, you know, hands-on, trying to find different ways to make that happen. And our CFO is very on top of things, and she is also looking for ways. We haven't said, nope, this isn't gonna happen. We're looking for other ways to see if we can make it happen. So here.
And we've been talking, so, thank you.
We still have a motion on the table. Is there a second to the motion? Hearing no second, the motion dies. So I'll open it up for further discussion.
Trustee Johnson, may I address the board?
Yes, you may.
Okay. One of the things that we did see in our legal counsel recommendation in there was that, from the sounds of it, this board and Trustee Grissom is from what I've heard from, I don't know really the other members, but they, just because this negotiated agreement isn't in place, you don't want it to affect the teachers and their contracts at this time. Legal counsel did have recommendation in there stating that we could probably, since contracts have been issued, we can keep those contracts in place and still continue with negotiations, if that's the board's pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brooke. I suppose I would like to ask the LEA president if he could come back to the little podium thing. Would the LEA be willing to enter back into negotiations and allow the salary schedule to remain as it stands with the issued contracts, and be willing to negotiate the agreement with the certified scale outside of the contract, of the agreement,
Yeah,
without it raising
yeah,
a legal
if
premise?
there's no legal issues with that, I don't know, I just wanna make sure that we're doing things the right way, so we don't get.
Well, the only legal issue would be that you would try to, you meaning the LEA, not you personally, that the LEA would then turn around and sue the district. Because if we are already made aware of the fact that we shouldn't have done that, although it's standard practice within this district to approve the certified salary schedule outside of the negotiated agreement, so we've already done that. What I'm asking is, in good faith, would the LEA agree that we could move forward with negotiations with the content of the negotiated agreement exclusive of the certified salary schedule? Because the certified salary schedule has been approved. The board has no intention of changing that, based on what I've heard. So what we would then need to resolve is a slide aside from the clerical errors, the other content errors, which are the extracurricular and co-curricular salary schedules, and apparently the dual credit stipends, because I know we talked about that. I don't recall at all what the intention was.
ended up
I
landing on.
don't,
I don't
I
remember
didn't
what we
think we
landed
ended
on
on
either.
anything other than,
We pulled out
I
this-
don't remember, so.
77% was what was listed, we pulled that out, and we just said a basic percentage is what we did. It
A
was,
basic percentage of what?
a basic percentage of the revenue from the.
And you can see that,
It's
But see, that's why it was,
percentage.
We haven't seen it though, so.
but that's why it was supposed to come back to us so that we could have a final conversation on what that was gonna be.
Yeah,
Trustee Bain, that's on me, I own that.
and that's the exact reason why we had an issue too, just because what is a percentage and who makes that decision?
Well, the point was that it would remain revenue neutral.
right.
Because 77% is not revenue neutral anymore.
I agree.
It's not sustainable,
I agree, and I think,
and we're digging into
That's great.
district funds.
Yeah.
And that was the point, was that we wanted to make sure that that wasn't happening anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like, I can't speak for my IBB team, I do have members here, but we are missing one. I would be willing to bet they would wanna get back into negotiations if that was the case. But I don't wanna misspeak for them either, I don't know.
Would you like to have a conversation with your team minus the one person to see what they would like to?
Yeah, I would appreciate that.
I would
That'd be fine.
encourage you to do that.
Could we go to the conference room?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Chairman Thompson, if we go in this direction, it is my recommendation that we have a work session in preparation to the procedures of our IBB team, if that's where you wanna go. And you guys can define the sandbox in regards to the negotiation and who's supposed to be in the room. And then we can move forward with that, but I cannot find anything beyond 2017 where it defines the procedures.
2015,
Oh,
or
yeah,
I mean
15.
2015, it was
Oh,
2007.
2007.
It was 2007,
It was,
yeah.
that was the last thing that we found, and nothing that we.
There's no procedures anywhere.
Well,
No,
there is,
IBB
they're in somebody else's drive, and tech could get in the drive and get them, where all of the district documentation ended up. It's in the prior administrators.
Except IBB came on board
Yeah.
with Dr. Meyer.
That's what I'm talking about. She used to bring it up at the meeting.
Yes.
And we would follow that, so it's in her,
That's kind of, it's more of an informal procedure. Back in the day when actually Chuck Kinsey
Right.
was a superintendent, there was a much more formal
Yes.
procedure that went before the board chair signed, then the LEA president signed. And really, yeah, you should probably get back down to that foundation again, to definitely have all of that stuff outlined. And I absolutely love the idea of meet and confer quarterly, because yes, it's true that when we get to May, we're always holding off on
Everything.
on negotiations because we're waiting for finance to come back and get the numbers from the state.
Right.
If we do these meet and confers quarterly, we can get ahead of everything. We'll have language all hammered out and all the crux of stuff, and then once we get the numbers from the state, then we're ready to go. We're ready to roll.
Right.
But yeah, I totally agree. I mean, Rusty and I and Jake, we have all talked in great length about how to get this turned around again. And yes, you guys, the negotiated agreement should be seen by you guys before it goes to the LEA for ratification.
Yeah.
And somehow, I think with IBB, that got turned around when that was
Right.
implemented. Am I saying IBB is not the way to go? No, I'm not saying that, because it's collaborative. But I do think there has to be some other procedures put in place.
sure, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep, and the other thing is too, just because based on perception, because all these district conversations were happening outside of the board, then, you know, it looks like, well, the board knew. No, the board didn't know anything. You know, and that's the other thing that's very frustrating for me, because then I get dumped on, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, the board didn't, why, what are you talking about? Where's the paper? Where's the I mean, but everybody else has the information but the board. And it, you know, that's,
Yeah, it's a little backwards, and we'll just, and
Yeah.
that is, and again, Rusty and I have had great conversations along with Jake.
Yeah.
We wanna get this turned around.
yeah, I think the biggest
sure.
thing though was the misleading, not intentionally, but just the information that went to council that we had approved. the agreement. So of course, all of their, suggestions were based upon that, you know? When it wasn't the case, but, I mean, yeah, I guess now supposedly, the salary schedule can't be pulled out, but I don't know where that's coming from either, cause it
Well,
doesn't
and
state
again,
that.
like I said, legal counsel did say that we can maintain those contracts as we go through
Yeah.
negotiations. I wanna minimize as much anxiety for our
Right,
teachers as
absolutely.
possible. We have school that's gonna start.
That's my frustration,
Yeah.
because all this conversation has happened, and you know how it is, it's wildfire, so everybody in the district guaranteed has had their own conversations, and everybody's come up with their own, what they think is gonna happen, and yet the board, it doesn't have a clue about the board's own business, right, because we weren't brought into the conversation. And unfortunately, and most people don't understand this, we cannot talk, we shouldn't even be talking to anybody about what's on the agenda. We're not allowed to even ask questions, it's actually illegal. We should not have, as a board goes to somebody and asks for clarification or has a question about an agenda item, is violation of the law. Because that is considered, deliberation. Technically and legally, the board cannot converse on anything until it is brought together, because it has to speak with one voice. So it becomes very frustrating, because a lot of things happen. The perception is, well, why didn't you ask the question? Well, why didn't you find the information? Because legally I can't do that. I can ask administrative things. I can say, hey, you know, did you fix page 5? Can you send it to me? That kind of thing. But I can't ask. That's why I just kept asking if someone would give me the paper, because I can't ask the question. I cannot enter, you know, nobody can on the board. Although I know it happens, but that's actually illegal. I mean, our own commissioners are the one that set the precedence of that by the Supreme Court of Idaho. Simply because they had a little side conversation with everybody standing there. It's considered a meeting, you can't do it, you know, so
But the
that.
public
well-
can ask you questions, you just don't answer those questions.
No, I'm talking about the board going and trying to find out information or,
What you're saying.
you know, something like that. Yeah, not the,
Information.
not the public, but the
Thank you.
board trying to,
Cause I want the board talking to you.
Well, and you
That's
do
what the
want all the trustees to understand that I received a phone call from Rusty Monday night. And then Tuesday, I got a follow-up with, I actually called Rusty Tuesday morning based on him saying that the LEA, believes we've broken the law. And so when I called him Tuesday morning, I said, you know, I don't feel it appropriate for you to be in the middle of this, given that you weren't even part of this process. So I asked for Jason to come, the LEA president, to come to the board and let's have a conversation.
yeah.
And then everybody got contacting to lawyers, and then we started, the whole board, which thank you, Rusty, for all the information that you gave to the board. I
For
greatly
sharing,
appreciate that.
Yeah,
But then we got all these emails, so then I did call legal counsel, because some of what the Anderson Julian Hull attorney was saying, I felt was completely biased and not appropriate, because I know for a fact that good faith has always been at the front of this board, and to be accused of acting in bad faith, I think was way out of line. And I know you walked in on that conversation, it was not about the LEA, it was about legal counsel, just so you understand.
No, I truly believe that our IBB process, negotiating has been good with the caveat that there has been some things apparently that have supposed to been in there but I can't, I haven't ever been shared any of that stuff. I've heard in a meeting that, you know, you would like some changes made, but I've never been shared what changes. And so I didn't feel it was my responsibility to bring that to the team, because I work for the teachers, and the way we had it set up, we did have 2 board members in there. We have other representatives from the district, and in a sense that, whether you guys think it is or not, that has always been the board's team. And so that's why it was the way it was, and so we just figured, well, if they're not bringing it up, they must have been okay with it. And we we move on. It wasn't trying to be, I was
I
never
brought
trying
it
to
up
be
the last year I
sneaky.
was there, but then the time got changed, so I asked the last 2 years to please change the time, so I did bring it up. I even brought up tying all the policy and the law to the specific points where we were getting the information from, so that anybody looking at it would know, oh, this is why they said it like this, or
Right.
this is, because people don't know, they don't know what the heck, why did we say it like that, or whatever. On both sides, just to make it more clear, but anyway, so what did you guys
Yeah.
decide?
Well, we need some clarifying things. We heard, so Brooke, I heard you say that your council advised that you can separate it. Rusty, you said that you can't separate it, and our attorney said that we can't
No,
separate
okay,
it.
That's separated. That's not what he said.
what he said was basically, okay, we've issued contracts already based off of this decision, but we would still continue negotiations, and it's from my understanding, we would include that salary schedule within negotiations as well, but we wouldn't rock
Neither
the
side would
boat.
touch it.
Yeah, we just wouldn't rock the boat right now,
In which, okay,
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we would just continue on, and now actually, when I went back and listened to, the meeting, that was the same advice even Brooke had given at the meeting. She said that in the prior years, when she had talked to Amy White, that Amy White had even said that we could still, do the executive session, that's why we did that.
Yeah.
Do the executive session, whatever happened,
right.
but nobody, I have no intention, nobody on this board has any intention of doing anything with the teacher's salary and their contracts.
Yeah.
That was never the intention.
And then, so then that brings up our kind of next point. I mean, given the timing of all of this, we were talking that, we have programs that are starting, next week?
Yeah.
If not, I saw cross country out there running today with the coach, that's off season stuff, but, I'm worried about this being a hard thing to ratify right now, given the timing of everything based on contracts that already went out. It's a brand new salary schedule for the coaches, in which some of those coaches will be taking cuts in pay.
Well,
and
all
so-
we asked is, are you willing, this is what we asked, are you willing to basically finish out the
Yeah,
negotiation?
and ultimately, we would love to say yes, but what are you gonna do in the meantime? Because sports start
Everything-
next week, and we
everything
get paid
stays.
monthly for our certified.
Right, so yes, we did have some discussion today about that. That was my concern as well, because not knowing what was gonna happen with his athletic salary schedule. You guys approved the certified salary schedule, but the athletic salary schedule at the time that it was presented is still what it is. So I would issue, because I have to issue street coach stipends, I have to have those in by August 15th for the August 28th payroll. So I would just issue those based off of the
Right.
current salary schedule that's in the negotiated agreement.
Right, because
From
it's
last
still,
year.
From last year.
it still
And
stands.
that's what you guys agreed on anyway.
So now with all of that said, would it be easier, and I'm not trying to sideswipe what you
Yeah.
guys are saying, but wouldn't it be easier just to vote in everything, the negotiated agreement? You can even say publicly with the caveat that we're gonna work with the new superintendent and the team and the LEA, and we're gonna try to get all these changes done so that our operations can go as normal in the next 2 weeks, and we can get school started so that we can worry about
Well, schools can start, because the bottom line is last year's agreement is still in effect with this year's salary schedule, except for the coaches are still under last year's agreement, that can't change. Right,
Yeah.
that's it, and I
Yeah.
haven't seen whatever it was, I really wanna see what you saw, cause I wanna see what was changed.
Yeah,
I wanna see how we got there,
yeah, I'm sure,
You know.
I'm sure Rusty.
You'll have it.
yeah.
So that was just my input, is that to me, it would just seem so much easier if, because we're not trying to do anything different, it's gonna be that way anyway. And then we start working day one, we can start working tomorrow on fixing this stuff and coming up with the things that you guys wanna change.
So then what I hear you
And
saying
then-
is you're not willing, you're not interested in going back to the table, you would prefer that this board
I'm-
ratify what was presented initially.
I'm trying to think of our members and trying to think of how they're gonna vote when this is presented to them, and I honestly, I see it right now, the way it stands, I think it's gonna be a hard time, it's gonna be a hard sell, and it's gonna mean us just continuing to go back and forth, in which we can do. And I have, I don't have any problem doing that, but there's a lot of pressure with the, I mean, I believe there's a process.
All
that
we're
you have to
asking is
follow.
if you're willing to do the back
Yeah,
and forth.
that's what we've been saying.
That was it. I mean, everybody gets the same money.
Yeah.
We can't do anything about that. And we're not to the point because we haven't seen what, remember,
So-
nobody here has seen what you saw.
So in a sense, could we, I mean, and this might be for you guys to talk about, but could we accept last year, or the IBB proposal, and then just start IBB right now for next year with all these new ideas? And then it'll be voted on as a new package in next year? I mean, wouldn't that, to me, that would seem, and then we have all year, we have
That's why I
time.
made the motion I made.
We have time, you guys could have executive sessions, it would give our
Work
superintendent.
session, so we can set up our procedures.
It just seems to me that that's the easiest, and I'm not trying to sell it, because I told Dave, I believe in June 11th, I'm not saying that his proposal is bad for the coaches. There were just too many questions that I had that nobody could answer. None of the group.
I haven't
could
even
answer.
seen what you saw to
Yeah.
have questions.
And then, and
So-
it was the same with the dual credit being, the percentage being taken out, we had questions, and so to me, it just seems like now we have the whole year to figure this out. We can ask those questions, we can research, we can find the answers. I will be dedicated as much as you need me to come in and work with you to do that. I would be willing to get all this stuff answered so that we can move forward, because like I said, I believe this is a good opportunity that we have right now. We have a new maintenance facilities director, right, that's doing good. We have a new superintendent, assistant superintendent. It just seems so much cleaner and easier given the timing. And that's what I would recommend.
Okay, we didn't ask you for a recommendation, we asked you if
No,
you.
sorry, I gave it to you anyway.
Thank you.
So, for clarification, you would prefer us not to go back to negotiations and that we would ratify what was presented at the June 11th meeting? Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. My concern is if we don't heed the LEA's recommendation, that going back into negotiations is going to be trying to push a boulder uphill. Because I don't think that the opportunity to have fair and open discussion is going to be received. I think there's going to be I think it's going to be a huge obstacle, which is very
Yeah,
frustrating.
they already said they're not willing to negotiate, they want what they
Right.
want, and that's it. So it's the same thing we get told every year, can you just accept this year and then we'll go on, so.
Right. I would say what I would like to do is before we enter into this possibility of ratifying in whole, I would like you to check with legal counsel to make sure that we can start ASAP for next year, because I don't want to start and then have it thrown back up in our face that, oh no, we violated the law again.
Well, we already know we can't because we tried to do that. We already know we can't do that. Remember, we tried to do that when we did the whole levy thing and we were told then we couldn't do it by council.
So I need,
That's true.
I need clarification, so.
Sure.
You want us to determine if we can start negotiation at this point?
What I am reading in statute is there's no definitive timeline for when you can open negotiations
Right.
for the school
You're
year.
100%.
That's correct.
So what I'd like to hear from legal counsel is that they are in agreement that we would not be violating anything that we're not reading
Okay.
to open negotiations for the next school year as early as the start of the school year, which I'm sure everybody is going to be uberly excited to start negotiating for the next school year when we haven't even started the current year.
If this gets us to the impasse, I think we'll be very excited.
Exactly.
You know, I just want to know from legal counsel
Yes, ma'am.
that that is an option.
Yep, I will check immediately.
Perfect.
And share with the board, is that correct, Chairman Thompson?
Please,
Yes, ma'am.
Always.
share with the whole board.
Just making sure.
Yep.
So I will move again that we ratify the negotiated agreement as presented to us at the June 11th meeting. With the understanding that we start negotiating right away for next year.
Or inputting systems in place.
Yes.
And, I'm sorry.
And I concur, we will follow the board's direction.
Do we have a second for the motion?
Yeah, I'll second it. And this is based upon whether legal's gonna get back to us and say, yeah, we can negotiate or not.
You'll have it in the morning.
Yep, okay, yep, as long as that's fine. I mean, if not, then I guess we have to start negotiating now, but.
Well, I don't see why we can't table it until we have direction from council, but,
I'd like to hear from council first.
well, I hear you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Motion fails. I motion we table the negotiated agreement until we hear from legal counsel about how we can move forward for the next school year. How early we can start negotiations and work through this negotiated agreement for the benefit of the district as a whole.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Our next meeting is on August 13th. I would request that we have the response to legal counsel from legal counsel by then, and that negotiated agreement pending advice of legal counsel is on the agenda. Okay?
And I also would say too, for the board's information, is that the original one that was looked at or reviewed in June 11th, is that what you said?
Mhm.
Is attached to the board agenda too.
Yes, please attach the negotiated agreement that had been presented at June 11th back to the agenda. On that note, as long as there's nothing further, anybody?
Yeah, I still wanna see whatever, the superintendent received. I still wanna see the document that was sent to
You'll have
the
that too, in
LES.
the morning, absolutely.
That needs to be
In
sent to all
fact,
the
I would
board members.
actually, if with the board's permission, I'm gonna have Dave send it to you right now.
Okay, sure.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
That was all I had. Just that.
Anything from anyone else?
No, no.
Okay, on that note, meeting is adjourned at 7:29.
Yeah.